I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Karrablast. As fans of the game Pentiment will know, before the arrival of the printing press, books and manuscripts were painstakingly copied out by hand. Every Bible, every epic poem, and every royal decree was written out by a scribe or monk who, naturally, was bored and had artistic aspirations to do something else. This led to the rise of marginalia, the colourful decorations and illustrations which filled the margins of text documents. Among these were obvious recurring motifs, like flowers and dragons, and some more esoteric illustrations. One meme, for want of a better word, was the joke of drawing a knight battling an oversized snail. Speculation as to why this was: to mock heavily armoured and slow-moving warriors, to represent the common man, or maybe even to call out specific social groups or religions. The meaning has been lost to time, but somewhere around the 12th and 13th centuries, it was apparently the funniest thing ever. Karrablast is a bug-type Pokemon, which is neither a snail nor a knight, for now at least, though it does hunt snails. Karrablast is a round blue beetle, and like many ground beetles, it's a predator. Pokemon White tells us, when they feel threatened, they spit an acidic liquid to drive attackers away. This Pokemon targets Shelmet. And Pokemon Shield tells us, it spits a liquid from its mouth to melt through Shelmet's shell. Karrablast doesn't eat the shell, it eats only the contents. The name Karrablast and the similar Japanese name Karrablast combines the Karra from Karrabus, the family of beetles which most predatory ground-dwelling species hail from, and Blast, perhaps referring to the damage it does to Shelmet. That other Pokemon, as you may have already noticed, is closely tied to Karrablast. Pokemon Black also tells us, these mysterious Pokemon evolve when they receive electrical stimulation while they are in the same place as Shelmet. What this is referring to is the unique method by which these two Pokemon evolve. A Karrablast will only evolve when traded for a Shelmet, and vice versa. When those conditions are met, Karrablast will evolve into Escavalier. In Escavalier, Karrablast's familiar face now peeks out from under a large, crested medieval helmet, with lances for arms and an unmistakable curling shell holding the body. Pokemon Black explains, they fly around at high speed, striking with their pointed spears. Even when in trouble, they face opponents bravely. And Pokemon White says, these Pokemon evolve by wearing the shell covering of a Shelmet. The steel armor protects their whole body. Escavalier is a knight now, having battled a snail just like all those illustrations depicted. It is odd that this knightly Pokemon first appeared in Unova, the region based on New York, when two of the following regions were based on France and Britain, famous for knightly heraldry. The Sword and Shield Pokédexes even mention this, along with a sly nod to the Pokemon's origin in artworks. Pokemon Sword says, they use shells they've stolen from Shelmet to arm and protect themselves. They're very popular Pokemon in the Galar region. And Pokemon Shield tells us, it charges its enemies, lances at the ready. An image of one of its duels is captured in a famous painting of Escavalier clashing with Sirfetch'd. Welcome back to Moils on Mon, Karrablast.
This is just a funny little guy again. This is an angry bug. He does not look happy. He's got that... There's something about, the little fangs. He's trying to look really intimidating, but he just looks a bit silly. This is the one, if I remember rightly, you trade with another Pokemon, another bug-type Pokemon, and like they each take part of the other bug-type Pokemon to evolve, is that right?
Well, kind of. This one steals that one's armour.
That's right, and becomes Escavalier, whatever it's called, which I think is a really cool design. I'm a fan of that, like kind of little like slug. What is it? What is Karrablast? What is it meant to be?
It's like a little stink bug beetle thing.
Yeah, like a little pill bug. No, not a pill bug. Kind of. But yeah, I think Escavalier is a really cool design. I'm a fan. Karrablast though, bit silly. But because I played Gen 5, potentially the servers might have been down, who knows. By the time I got round to it, I never engaged with any of the trade mon, sadly. But maybe you did.
The name Escavalier remains on brand, combining escargot, the French for snail, with chevalier, the French word for a knight. The Japanese name, chevago, comes from the same origins. In evolving, Escavalier gains an additional steel typing, along with tremendous attack and defense stats. It does all of this at the expense of its speed, which is now comically slow. But so long as it avoids fire-type attacks, the Pokemon is more than ready to hold its own, even against opponents who are inevitably moving faster. Escavalier seems like a bit of a mean Pokemon, especially to anyone who happens to like Shelmet. That said, nature is full of predators and prey. It's the natural order, and Escavalier is a strong force of nature. To this day, it's the only bug-type Pokemon which has been on a World Championship winning team. That deserves to be on the main page, not stuffed into the margins. Original music for Luke Loves Pokemon is by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. Funding is provided by listeners at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. For just $1 a month, supporters can listen to episodes a week early, and also help cover hosting and fees, making it possible for me to keep making episodes every week. I love hearing from listeners. Get in touch about upcoming Pokemon on Twitter or Facebook at LukeLovesPKMN. Drop a comment if you're watching the video, or a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Coming up are Fungus and Frillish, so get in touch about those or any other monsters. Even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Karrablast. And remember, I love you too.